So I'm going to start today and talk about mid-pandemic collections and discovery services and what we've learned from the pandemic and what we're retaining going forward and what else we're doing going forward. I'll be followed by Nara, who will talk about discovery and ILL and some interesting correlations she's learned about. And then Jay from OCLC will talk about end user solutions, equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, and OCLC's Library on Demand roadmap. All right, so when the pandemic started, Yale scrambled to make as much, and the students were all sent home during spring break in March of 2020. We scrambled to make as much accessible online as possible. And I'm sure virtually every other library did that too. So now I'm going to share my screen. And oh, I can see myself, good. So this is our discovery layer, which we call Quick Search, and it's a blacklight software over a Voyager catalog, ProQuest, Summon, and a locally developed digital collection space. And we have a couple of other subsets of the catalog that people can look at. So the first thing was we needed more online resources, and we also wanted to make it quickly obvious to students. So one of the features was to show online results only via this button. And then we also needed to tweak our locations for Yale's internet resources, things that we subscribe to and things that we have digitized locally. We also incorporated into our discovery layer records from the HathiTrust Digital Library, including their emergency temporary access library during the pandemic, which was about a couple of million additional records, and the Internet Archive, including their emergency library. And I honestly don't know, HathiTrust's ETAS, the emergency temporary library, went away in August for us because we resumed in-person classes in September. I honestly don't know if the Internet Archive is still no, actually here's something from 2021. So it must still be the emergency library. And so going forward, we're going to retain public domain stuff even when their emergency library goes away. So I think we will always have references to HathiTrust and Internet Archive in the future. We've also retained a preference for purchasing online ebooks and course reserves over print. And one of the services that we added when we had to do all the delivery changes, you know, contact-free pickup, the library was closed for several months. So when we finally got staff back in the library around June of 2020, we instituted a mail-to-home address service, and that was really popular. And so we're keeping that going as a pilot during this current year and hoping it won't cost too much. We did have a mail to campus address, but that depended on campus mail, and it's really unpredictable. And so most people seem to prefer to come to the library and pick up their books if they were on campus already. So we've discontinued that. Then in the fall of 2021, the development team for Quick Search was finally able to turn its mind back to what we had to abandon in January of 2020. And we proposed a two-part project that got approved by our IT steering committee in the library, and that is to incorporate finding aids into our discovery layer, and then to redesign our results landing page. So we call the quick search results page, the one that where you see all the different areas. We've now started calling this the quilt page because our previous term we thought was, oops, sorry, a little bit culturally insensitive. To incorporate finding aids, I'm going to now show you a development region of the application. We're going to have a new link that will say archives or manuscripts, and we need to distinguish it from a department in the library known as manuscripts and archives. So that's why it starts with archives. This area here, the layout is poor, and that hasn't been addressed. Archives or manuscripts has been a format link, but that's what's going to populate this box. But in addition, we will also have results from our finding aids in a search. So here you can see a search for Charles Ives as an author or creator. And we are seeing results, say, from, this is a link to the Robert Shaw papers. And there are also links to collection level records and individual manuscripts. So here, Charlie Rutledge is a link to a manuscript. And if I click on it, I am still in the catalog region of discovery. On the other hand, if I click on Holidays, Washington's birthday, I am now taken out into the Robert Shaw papers finding aid, and to the music section under Charles Ives, and I see the scores that were in Robert Shaw's personal collection. So the plan is for collection level records, the Charles Ives rare and commercial non-commercial sound recordings, eventually to come from the finding aid database, but currently they're still displaying the catalog, and we will have to dedupe catalog records for the collections. And the reason is I think there is a bit more information in the finding aid database. So we're all pretty excited about this. And then in terms of redesigning our results page, which you will remember, let's see. It's going back slowly. So here's a search for Charles Ives. We have developed something we were calling a wireframe, but I'll try to blow this up a bit. So different fonts and colors, an index to the boxes or quilt patches below, and format levels at the top level of results. And you'll recall that we will have the archives and manuscripts in here as well. This is the plan we've been working off of. It's just a preliminary plan, but it's been very useful from the perspective of discussion. And I'd like to acknowledge that we examined Cornell's website. We did a scan and looked at 13 large research libraries, and we were really quite taken with the way Cornell had their website, their discovery layer at the time. So the next thing that in preparation for this, we have been doing some user studies, and I'm sharing here a heat map. This is showing how over about 10,000 or so searches, we've got 11,927 clicks on our results page. And the heat map is showing, and this is a live thing. So it shows that 5,000 clicks are in the search box. So people get results and fully, almost half of them immediately change their search. Very few people, only 3 out of this sample, clicked on the View and Filter Books Plus. More clicked on the title. Some people, even more clicked on, I mean, more than clicked on View and Filter, clicked on parts of the record that aren't hyperlinked. only 182 clicked over here. In the articles area, there were a lot of clicks to just the full text, and apparently no clicks in the digital collections area. You can also see how people have scrolling. So everybody sees this top half of the top portion of the page. It says 75% scrolled down this far, only 50% scrolled to here, and 25% to the bottom of the screen. So that's very interesting user behavior, I think. And another aspect of the heat map is that how people interacted with the advanced search screen. And this I find so disappointing because we have 1,688 clicks recorded on this screen, and fully 800, half of them are just going back to the basic search box and changing the search, and 36 press enter here. Very few are revising their search within the search boxes. They're slightly more people are revising the publication date range. And don't take the actual book here. Oh, some people are clicking on the title. Other rage clicking parts of the record that aren't hyperlinked. So going forward, we're going to be thinking about why are people clicking in areas that we didn't intend for them to click, and what can we do to steer them to the places where they can actually click on different parts of the catalog record or the format facets and other facets that we have provided for them. That is my portion of the presentation, and I do want to say that we're going to hold questions until the end of this session. So I'm going to stop sharing now and turn my microphone off and turn this over to Nara.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm here today to talk to you about discovery and settings and ILL. Over the last 2 years, my UMKC colleagues and I have changed our discovery layer settings multiple times in response to ever-changing availability of materials. We made the changes to guide patrons to resources they could actually obtain. But in retrospect, it provided us with data that dramatically shows how discovery layer settings impact ILL usage. This is a story of changes which impacted musicians and all patrons. I must begin by acknowledging my UMKC colleagues who worked together on this, especially Jen Salvo, our head of resource sharing, and Buddy Pennington, our head of systems and technology. They also provided me with some of the data that you'll see today. Some quick facts on UMKC. We have 16,000 students, 600 in the performing arts, and we did not have any major COVID expansions to online subscriptions. We had a few free trials in spring of 2020, but that was really all our budget allowed for. Because everyone's experience varied through COVID, I've provided here a basic timeline of our experiences at UMKC. I also want to note that interlibrary loan never stopped for email delivered items throughout this entire time. So after the initial shutdown period, So after the initial shutdown period here, we had what was called repopulation, and we had people start coming back to campus. And during this 2020-2021 academic year, we had significant in-person learning and working occurring. The library buildings were open, materials were basically accessible to patrons, and we had a fair amount of classes being taught face-to-face as well as online. For example, our music history classes were taught exclusively online, but for lessons and ensembles, students could choose between online or in person. So during this time also, we had access to our consortial borrowing for physical materials within our state from our state consortium, but our interlibrary loan outside of our state consortium didn't resume until April of 21st for physical materials. Again, online continued through the whole time. And this changing availability of various materials shown on the Discovery default slide led us to make several repeated changes to the default search options in our Discovery layer. And in retrospect, we can see a strong correlation between the Discovery layer settings and interlibrary loan volume. We'll examine the correlations via 2 data points. First, our ILLiad linkout statistics from our Discovery layer, and second, all ILL requests submitted by our users. Our Discovery layer is EBSCO Discovery Service from EDS, shown here as the library homepage search, overlaying our III Sierra ILS. And here we see a results screen from EDS. The patron is presented with various options for fulfillment, getting the item, depending on what's available. So the first result is a physical music score, so has the call number, location, status. The second item is an online recording from Naxos Music Library, so has a link to find in Naxos Music Library. And the third is the one we're focusing on, where it says request this item through interlibrary loan. So this is not available in our collection. Clicking request this item through interlibrary loan takes you to ILLiad and populates a request. Each time a user clicks request this item through interlibrary loan, this will be counted as a link out to ILL, regardless of whether the user actually completes and submits an ILL request. This slide shows our statistics on those ILLiad link outs. And as I noted, through COVID, we changed that default search several times based on availability of physical and online materials at UMKC and beyond. During this time, expanding or contracting your search was always available to patrons in an easily visible area of search screens, usually the upper left-hand corner. But of course, many patrons simply use the default, as we just saw in Suzanne's presentation. So on the chart here, the first line shows us a pre-COVID baseline. So from the fall of 2019 through March of 2020, when our search defaulted to include all materials. And during this time, ILL link outs accounted for 9% of the link outs from EDS. The next time period is not shown on here, but it is kind of our initial COVID period. And during that time period from April of 2020 through the summer of 2020, our holdings were limited to just online materials from UMKC. But when we came back in the fall of 2020, we had now no physical, we had access to all UMKC holdings, but no physical materials beyond UMKC except through our state consortium. And so we decided to not set it back to everything, but default the search to UMKC holdings only, both online and physical. And during this time, only 0.22% of our EDS link outs were to ILL. So that's 1/40th of 9%. And then the third line from the summer of 2021 through the fall semester, we now had physical interlibrary loan back up. And so we decided to go ahead and turn back on the default to include everything. And you will see that ILO link outs now are 11% of the main. So they pretty much just pop back up to what they were before. The physical ILL was not the only factor in this decision. We also had some really major journal cuts last summer, and so are relying now on interlibrary loan for materials that we formerly got through our subscriptions. So as a second data point, we'll look at all interlibrary loan requests submitted by our users. So this chart shows all of our interlibrary loan requests with the different colored lines being different years. So you'll see that over the course of the year, interlibrary loan volume naturally fluctuates. For example, it's higher in March and April and then drops off during the summer. And you'll see that the 2018 year in blue and the 2019 year in orange as sort of baseline examples. And then the gray is 2020. You'll see it's tracking just below 2019 until we hit March, and then it plummets off and stays low for the rest of the year. Then when we get into 2021 in the yellow, it's still staying pretty much the same, low. And then this summer of 2021 is where we turned back on the Iliad link outs to include everything. And this, not a lot happened in the summer, but then in the fall semester, you'll see that the 2021 pretty much tracks the pre-pandemic 2019. So this is not really surprising, right, that patrons are going to use the materials most readily available to them, but these two data points really strongly demonstrate that correlation. As I noted, we didn't make these changes to run an experiment. In fact, that probably wouldn't be ethical. So there were other factors that we didn't control for that likely influenced ILL usage, such as our journal cancellations that are already mentioned, our increasing online courses, and we also know that some faculty had adjusted research expectations for use of library materials. And this is going to affect the faculty's teaching methods going forward, as well as that particular groups of students experience throughout their time here at UMKC. Okay. So a few thoughts and conclusions. My intent here is not to state what the best way of setting your discovery layer is, either in a particular situation or in general. There are advantages and disadvantages to both a more narrow and a broader setting, but I simply wanted to take advantage of what actually happened to us to share data that would be challenging to gather without these external constraints that led us to regularly and repeatedly change our search defaults. Thank you. So we are holding questions until the end, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Jay. I'll stop sharing my screen. It's all you, Jay.
There we go. All right. Thanks, Nara. And hello, everyone. So today we're going to speak a bit about the suite of end user solutions that are available through OCLC, provide an update on some efforts around equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility within these products, and then provide an overall update on the Library on Demand roadmap. There we go. Okay. All right, so I always like to talk a little bit about the options that you have available to you, especially if you've used First Search at your institution. So if you've used First Search at your institution, you also have access to WorldCat Discovery, and you also get access to visibility. So with WorldCat Discovery, that provides you access to not only First Search's databases, including some of the more recent open access editions, but also to the central index content that's available through all of your licensed subscriptions. So if you use the WorldCat knowledge base, you can also access that material through WorldCat Discovery. It also offers visibility so that your WorldCat holdings are visible to end users on the World Wide Web. So through worldcat.org, we get a bunch of traffic through worldcat.org that puts us in a prominent position in search results so that you can ensure your library holdings are present through major search indexes. So together, those three main benefits are available through your First Search subscription, through First Search WorldCat Discovery subscription. So just to describe a little bit about the content differences. So with First Search, I mentioned you search the WorldCat database and First Search licensed databases. With worldcat.org, you get access to several more million articles that are available through primarily full text providers, ones that are looking for their content to be promoted online as well. And then with WorldCat Discovery, you get an additional set of collections for licensed content that requires subscriptions to even search. So those are the kind of three different buckets of content that you get access to and through which product. And if you're interested, the full list of central index content is available at oc.lc/index-discovery. If you're curious about which of your collections might be available through WorldCat Discovery or through worldcat.org. So thinking about equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. We have a few key efforts that are impacting WorldCat Discovery in positive ways. The first is reimagining descriptive workflows. Then I'll speak to the kind of dynamic nature of WorldCat and how that's improving the end user experience over time. And then the modernization of the user interface to enable more accessible, more inclusive experiences. So thinking about, so the first is reimagining descriptive workflows. So this is an effort that if you're interested in, at this link, oc.lc/discovery-EDI, this provides context and direction for enhancements to our infrastructure to support inclusive languages and inclusive practices. So while that's a broad discussion and has been very helpful for how we can frame our product enhancements, we're also looking at specific product community discussions. So with WorldCat Discovery at the end of January and continued end of November and continued into January, we're looking at a multi-phased effort to improve the ability for institutions to manage and control the display of subject headings within WorldCat Discovery. So we're making some somewhat surface level changes that are expected by July of this year. The main aim will be for any subject headings that you would like to basically remap to an alternative heading only in the user interface. You'll be able to do that with a new tool through WorldCat Discovery. And that will be available to all WorldCat Discovery users regardless of your subscription level. Then the second component to this is the continuing updates to WorldCat. So this WorldCat I guess speaking as someone that works with WorldCat Discovery, it's easy to take for granted the benefits that WorldCat provides with continuously updated and scalable infrastructure for a global set of content. So for example, in the end of November, we received an update to the Library of Congress subject headings and implemented changes to about 40,000 WorldCat records within just a couple of weeks. One of the primary changes is one that we've gotten requests for on the WorldCat Discovery side to change, and we needed the subject vocabularies to update in order to do that. So it's exciting to see that the term illegal aliens is now mapped to new terms, non-citizens and illegal immigration. And it's not just available for WMS customers, but it's also available for global use in local catalogs. So as vocabularies change over time, we can rapidly implement those changes. The last piece I want to speak to is around accessibility. So we believe that accessibility is a socially just experience. And as a commitment to inclusive design, we're therefore committed to accessible products for all users. So as accessibility standards grow more inclusive, we needed to take a look at our technical stack and make changes to support the latest standards. So that is a primary driver for the WorldCat Discovery modernization. And you can see on the right-hand side there, just a screen grab of what that looks like. But we're also thinking about how we can help institutions make accessible choices, knowing that WorldCat Discovery is highly configurable and you can make choices that actually impact accessibility. So last year, with the launch of the redesigned site, we also launched support for accessibility insights for web. So to give you an example of what this looks like, in this case, I chose a color for the advanced search link that was not high enough contrast with the background, so it failed an accessibility check. And I forgot to add alternative text to the logo that I chose. So this tool is a free option through Google Chrome, and I believe Microsoft Edge. And after I ran the tool, I made the configuration updates, reran the tool, and got a clean change. So I can see that there are no other issues with the page that I need to be concerned with. So this is supported on all of our modernized pages today, the landing page, search results, and item details. While it's not legal conformance, it's a good starting point for understanding. So it has some really nice educational components within it if you're new to accessibility and want to learn more. And it also has this kind of quick tool to quickly do the kind of red or green checkbox or to see whether or not you've hit the mark. We do, of course, offer legally compliant documents. VPAT, ACR is our legal documentation. So if you're ever interested or need that for some reason at your institution, you can always request that through the support team, and they'll get it routed to the right group here. So looking forward, what drives us within the end user space is the library on demand. And this is a strategy that's aiming to bring library services to users in on demand. So wherever the user is at, whenever they need it, with whatever material that they're trying to get access to. And this is modeled off of on-demand experiences that we see outside of the library space. We know that users spend the vast majority of their time outside of library resources. So when they come to the library, anything we can do to make their experience look and feel like other products that they use every day, we're going to provide a more seamless experience for them there. So this is a strategy supported by 3 pillars: intuitive discovery, so providing predictable search results and experiences through any channel that you might need them. So whether that's through our discovery service, online, through web visibility, or available through APIs, wherever you need to embed the content. Smart fulfillment, according to the user's preference. We know that the best fulfillment option is the one that the user prefers, either electronically, in print right now, or perhaps in a few days. We're also looking at ways to personalize the experience. So from the account to different search contexts that different types of users might need. How can we provide different personalized experiences for specific types of users for the specific need that they have for that day? So this strategy delivered many different enhancements in the last year. So I'll just speak to a few of them. The first for intuitive discovery is search indicators. So in the previous interface, I did a search for a series statement, personal and community archives. And on the left-hand side was the previous experience, where it's difficult to tell why that search result came back. And on the right-hand side, we conditionally promote metadata to the search results when it matches the search terms. So in this statement, so for this example, the terms personal and community archives aren't present in the title or author or other terms that we always display in the search results. So we pulled up the series statement to give the user a better indication as to why the search results matched. And that's critical because we know users' perception of relevance, how good the search results are, is largely based on their understanding of their search results. So the more we can provide to help them make connections from their search query to the search results, the more relevant the experience should feel. The next with Smart Fulfillment is the best access options feature. So if you're an institution that offers more than one fulfillment option, which is most institutions that we work with, most institutions provide some type of local fulfillment option and then some type of ILL option. In that case, if you allow both options for any given material, we want to make it easy for the user to understand when one option might be the better choice over the other. So for example, if all local materials are in use, they're all unavailable, then you'll probably want to go to your institution's next option, either a group option or ILL. Best access options takes what you already provide and optimizes it for the user to make an informed choice. And finally, personalized experiences. So we added a bunch of configuration to make it easier to fine-tune the search results and item details to your needs. So we've done that with the search filters, and we've also added functionality for the item description. So you can choose the display order label. You can choose which local data displays if you use local bibliographic data alongside the WorldCat data. And you can also choose the label for each one as well. So looking forward, we are by no means done yet. So we're continuing with these themes, and I'll speak to some of the key areas that we're looking at. So here's kind of a full list and a few things that I won't really speak to, but are critical to research activities. We're adding support for search history. So as you do searches in Discovery, we'll log your session searches so that you can quickly reference back to them, save them to your account if you like, or just get rid of them at the end of your session. Search alerts, so that if you're interested in a topic for a long period of time, you can create an alert on that topic, either through email or also through RSS. if you're trying to combine searches from many different places, the RSS option might be good for you. And bringing the user's items into their account. So when you save items to a temporary list and you happen to be signed in, we want to make it easy to be able to discover that content again. So those are a few features that are pretty big that I won't go into a whole lot of detail beyond this. But to give you an idea of the direction for each of the themes that we're going in, I want to describe that next. So the first for intuitive discovery is relying on a search platform that is meeting the needs of today's users. So we've been going through a complex transition, rather, to a new search platform that is now live for many OCLC products, but not yet for WorldCat Discovery, because we did a search engine assessment pilot with about 80 institutions last summer. And we learned that we need both relevance and performance optimizations to improve. So we decided that the time was not yet ready for WorldCat Discovery to use the new search platform. We need a more significant investment to meet user expectations. So that has transitioned into kind of a two-phased delivery method. So the first phase, we're going to fix those performance improvements that we got feedback from during the pilot. We're also going to do some moderate improvements to known item searching to ensure that there are at least advantages from the old search platform to the new one. And we will still require a successful pilot to launch. We know search is so core to WorldCat Discovery, we can't possibly imagine going onto a new search platform without ensuring that it meets real-world use cases, real-world scenarios with our librarians and users testing the system before we actually go live. Our aim is still to deliver that as soon as possible, and we'll have updates shared with the community as we go. The second phase will then focus on significant gains in relevance. We saw through the pilot that both the current and new search platforms still need to make significant gains to meet the wide array of relevance options that institutions are looking for. And to accomplish that, we'll deliver on that iteratively following phase one. So after we get users over to the new platform, then we'll continue in stride to deliver new enhancements and features to iteratively improve the platform more rapidly. So going from discovery back to or into fulfillment, we want to continue to optimize the best access options. So we know that user preference drives their decision, and that delivery time might be a really interesting way to help a user make an informed choice. So the WorldShare ILL network has made a ton of optimizations to make fulfillment requests faster through the network, and also to be able to estimate about how long requests would take for a given type of material from a given lender. So we'll have much more discussion on this, but that is the concept that we're currently investigating to see how that might work with the best access options. And finally, personalized experiences. So the next area that we're looking at here is how to support diverging needs for the types of users that you support. So WorldCat Discovery has long been optimized for undergraduate students that are trying to find known items, ensuring that anything within the experience does not detract from that core find and get journey. But we also know that expert searchers need additional functionality, perhaps more search results on the more metadata on the search results, more search results than the current defaults that we have, as well as some additional precision search tools within the advanced search page. So to support that, we're looking at a way to deliver on those diverging needs where they diverge while providing easy ways to keep the overlap for institutions so that you're not having to manage two complex systems. We want to make it easy to manage one with different types of users in mind. So again, a lot more to come there, but that is the area that we're currently investigating for trying to personalize the experience. And finally, before we go into Q&A, I just want to quickly mention that we did launch a new suite of APIs last summer. So if you are a WorldCat Discovery Premium subscriber, or also WMS comes with WorldCat Discovery Premium, you now get access to this suite of APIs to extend your services with. So with the APIs, you can customize, enrich, and extend your discovery services wherever they happen to be. So just to give a few scenarios that we've seen used with this, the first is a bento box experience, especially for materials that your library does not hold. That being a key benefit of the Discovery API through WorldCat, we can show you everything that isn't at your library or in your library's groups. Embedding new titles lists on your website through new holdings, as well as creating a citation action. We have a partnership with a citation provider that makes it easy to maintain these citation styles over time, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel with a new citation service yourself. So that is the Discovery update that I had, and I think we're going to go into questions now.